And we turn now to someone who stood alongside Jesse Jackson during some of the most consequential chapters of the modern civil rights movement. Ambassador Andrew Young is a former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, former mayor of Atlanta, and longtime lieutenant to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I spoke with him earlier today and asked him about Reverend Jackson's role in pushing for civil rights.
Well, Reverend Jackson was the second or third generation, but in a way, he follows best under the generation of students coming out of the 60s and the sit-ins. And he was a member of the group in North Carolina, A&T, Agricultural and Technical College, that started the sit-ins. This was 5 years after Martin Luther King started the Montgomery bus boycott. It was this background and the fact that he grew up in the Negro church that prepared him for leadership. His preaching and speaking was very much like that of Martin Luther King. So much so that he often, in the early days, tried to imitate Martin Luther King. As he matured in the movement, he developed his own style of speaking, which was a combination of the Black church and the movement of students.
Well, let me ask you more about that, because his 1984 and 1988 campaigns reshaped politics, reshaped the Democratic Party, reshaped coalition politics. What did his voice as a preacher allow him to do, allow him to say that a traditional politician could not?
Well, it was not so much that it allowed him to say anything different. He was basically saying the same thing that Martin Luther King and his father were saying years before, and even Martin's grandfather. But Jesse mixed it with the modern jazz of the 60s and the kind of a hip-hop sort of give and take speech, as though you're preaching to yourself. You ask a question and then you give the answer. But he was a very effective speaker, partially because he had a great voice and he was really a good-looking kid. He spoke the language of the young people, which was more rhythmic and give and take. And he was funny. He could turn a phrase, and I am somebody became an effort of asserting his identity in a society that did not really recognize him.
When history writes about Jesse Jackson, what do you hope it understands about his place in the long arc of the civil rights movement?
Well, I think that he certainly deserves an important place, if not for his runs for presidency, for his ability to mobilize large numbers of people. He was a great speaker before a crowd, and he was always able to gather a crowd. In fact, every Saturday morning, he rallied the churches of Chicago, first in Operation Breadbasket, and then Operation Push, which were efforts on his part to get the economy of Black America integrated into the economy of, in this case, the supermarkets and department stores. And he was something of an economic prophet before he started his run for the presidency.
Ambassador Andrew Young, thank you for your time, sir, and my condolences on the loss of your friend.
Thank you.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.